Welcome to another episode of Rock Resurgence Radio. Today we're diving headfirst into the glamorous, gritty world of Motley Crue. Get ready for a rock and roll showdown between two of their most iconic albums, Shout at the Devil and Dr. Feelgood.
This is going to be a wild ride from the rebellious energy of Shout at the Devil to the polished sound of Dr. Feelgood. We're going to break down the tracks, the stories behind the music, and debate which album truly reigns supreme.
So grab your favorite Motley Crue merch, turn up the volume, and let's get this party started. Welcome back, everybody, to Rock Resurgence Radio. I'm your host, Chad.
And I'm your co-host, Bergy.
Hey, on today's episode, we're talking about a band that we both really like and dig, and not much else to say about it. We're going to be talking about Motley Crue, and we're going to do a versus episode. We're going to take Shout at the Devil versus Dr. Feelgood. What do you have to say, Mr. Chris?
Well, yeah, I want to just talk real briefly about why we chose those two albums, because to me, it almost makes more sense to do the first one versus Shout at the Devil because they're more similar. We did talk about going through, there's a catalog of Motley Crue music. We talked about ranking the albums from the 80s, which maybe we'll do that on a future episode. The five classic albums, I guess I would call them. The Too Fast for Love through Dr. Feelgood. But the contrast between these two albums, they're vastly different.
They are.
To me. And I think it's interesting to pick a winner at the end, even though they're so different. Just to have, Chad likes this, Chris likes that, whatever. Curious what, I'd love to see a bunch of comments in the comments section, just to see, what the consensus is between these two albums. I'm curious.
Right, totally. And then, you can also comment and say, hey, what other two albums of theirs would you like us to look at? I'm a big fan of the 94 album with John Corabi. I listened to that in its entirety today, and I was just like blown away again by how good it sounded and whatever. But, so down the road, I'm hoping we spend a little time talking about that album as well. So right off the bat, we're going to start with Shout at the Devil. This one came out on September 23rd, 1983 on Elektra Records. And just a little bit of stuff that I did we know these albums so well that it wasn't a whole lot of research that either one of us did into them. I did do a little, I just watched a couple little interviews, and Tommy said about this album, he said he wanted to piss people off. Sounds totally like Tommy.
Right.
Nikki said, it's basically us rebelling against ourselves, whatever that means. And he wanted crowds to be able to shout the lyrics, hence the choruses are a lot of shout at the Devil's kind of stuff. Everything's kind of repetitive in their choruses. 6 to 7 months in the studio. Actually, he goes, we actually became a heavy metal band by accident. He goes, we really were a punk band. Which, if you listen to their first album, it kind of, I would still say it's a rock album, but, if he wants to think it's punk, it's, it doesn't sound punk to me, but yeah, there are punk elements to it probably. And then they kind of talked about the pentagram on it. On the first run of the albums, it was a pentagram on the album.
A vinyl pressing with that. Yeah.
Yep. And then it kind of pissed off enough people, so then they made a second pressing with basically this cover on it, if you can see that.
Yeah.
With the four members. And the thing that they said is this album, made enough noise where people started to take notice of us on Shout at the Devil. Matter of fact, they said they got Ozzy's attention, and they did go on tour with Ozzy.
Interesting scenes in the movie The Dirt, based on the book, with the tour with Ozzy.
Yep, for sure.
Funny.
And then just going to mention this, I had one little note about Dr. Feelgood. It went number one. It's their only number one album.
Okay. Did not know that off
Yep.
the top of my head, but
And
believe it.
it hit #1 on Tommy Lee's birthday. Crazy, right?
It is crazy.
Yeah.
What do you remember the date that it went #1?
No, but I suppose we'd look up Tommy
Yeah,
Lee's
I
birthday,
mean,
but
it doesn't matter.
doesn't really
But I
matter.
am kind of curious. Well, when we get to Dr. Feelgood, I'm sure you'll have a story about it coming out. I'll have a story.
Yep.
I remember where I was when I picked this up and how I felt.
Yep.
We'll get into all that.
For sure.
Just wanted to talk about this really quick.
This abnormally large book.
A very large coffee table book, The Decade That Rocked. And this is The Decade That Rocked. And we actually...
Show the back.
Yeah, we picked... actually, yeah, that's
Tommy Lee and
Ozzy, probably from the tour.
Yep.
We picked an album from almost the beginning of this decade in 1983, and then at the very end of the decade, Dr. Feelgood came out in 89.
Yep.
And I want to say it was summer of 89, so it was later in 89, maybe even fall.
I can tell you
something we can look up, look up while we're talking. But let's jump into
August 28th.
Yeah, so in the fall.
Yep.
I think, we'll get to that.
Yeah, and as far as we're going to jump into Shout at the Devil, and I just have to say that this is the album, and we've done that, I've talked about this in previous episode. This was the album that basically got me into rock and roll, and it was shown to me by my neighbor, Jeff Gulseth.
Our very first episode.
Yep, our very first episode. So, we're kind of coming around to this now and going to talk about these two albums. But yeah, this is the one that opened the door, opened my eyes, opened my ears to this music that we love so dearly. So it holds a special place in my heart. Anyways, with that being said, we'll start off with Shout at the Devil. We'll kind of just talk about each track. We're not going to listen to them all, but we'll talk about
a few.
We'll listen to a few along the way. We'll listen to the important ones. Like the beginning of this is called In the Beginning. It's just kind of a creepy freaking intro that scared the shit out of me the first time I heard it.
We talked about that in our first episode. Go back and watch it if you haven't
watched it. Go back and watch it. Yeah.
I
mean, I think we've gotten better and more polished along the way, but in that first episode, I did talk about this. I listened to it and I went, holy shit. And then it kicks into this just insane sounding riff, and then they're saying shout at the devil, and it's just the whole thing as a whole is scary to a kid that's probably 13 years old,
right,
when he's listening to this. So it was a little scary, but turned out all right. I lived through it.
Yeah, in one of our other most recent episodes, or maybe I'm not sure if this will air before the other one, but I talked a little bit about the Satanic Panic and the pentagram and all that stuff. That's you say what you want. This is not devil worship music by any stretch. I don't think. No. I don't look at it that way.
No, it's not.
It doesn't matter. It's theatrics, and the music is excellent.
It is. And if you watch, there is Tommy and Nikki on there, and look, right here, it says shout at the devil, not with the devil.
Right.
So that's their way to say it's not satanic. I think it's, it's all just they're not satanic. They're just guys who want to get attention.
Yeah, for sure. And they did.
And they did. They got a lot of attention by the way they looked, by the way they dressed, by the way they sounded. They got a lot of attention because it was kind of different, kind of a little more rocking than everything out at the time. And yeah, they set out to make some noise and get recognized. And that's exactly what they did. And they went on to become what they are today, which is one of the biggest rock bands of all time.
Yeah. And they had their own style. You can say that they copied and maybe followed along with some of the styles. Like when you go through, when Theater of Pain comes out, I can see the videos where Vince is wearing pink stuff.
Very sheer
Definitely
clothing.
Different from this look.
Right.
But I kind of think that other people stole this look from them. I mean, there were other heavy metal bands, and I actually read through a bunch of comments on a thing today on Facebook about, and the headline was, I Shout at the Devil. I listened to that in 1981. What was your first album? And everybody was like, well, first of all, it came out in 1983.
I read that same
Yeah,
one.
metal. They were talking metal, and there was
Yeah,
a bunch of comments in there about Motley Crue's not metal. Fair enough. It doesn't matter. You call it what you want. I
yeah,
call it fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, exactly. There's so many names you can call it. Rock and roll. You can call it hard
hair,
rock. You can call it
glam.
hair, glam, heavy metal. It is what it is. It's all under one umbrella. And then everybody wants to categorize everything. And I get it. There should be rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and thrash. And I think you'd probably have it if you just had like 4 categories and just go from there. And it's just so crazy. Grunge and
Right.
alternative and
New metal and
deathcore and
yeah,
grindcore and black metal and blah blah blah. You can go on and on. So I mean, it just gets overwhelming. It's just
it's all music.
it's all music, and you like what you like, and screw anybody else who thinks you're wrong for liking it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I know we both like Motley Crue.
Yep, both.
Probably one of, like you
I,
said, episode 1.
I got Theater of Pain. It's tattooed
Killer.
right there. And it's not my favorite album at all. It's probably one of my least favorite albums, but I like the album art cover.
That's cool.
Cool cover, the comedy and tragedy thing.
So Shout at the Devil.
Yeah.
It's basically the opening track after
It
in
is.
the beginning. Should we give it just a quick listen?
We'll give that one a quick listen because that's a staple.
Yeah.
It is the title track. So, and
it's kind of important in
their
verses.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a all balls to the wall rock song. It just kicks in right away. Makes you want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
right.
It's and that's kind of what I think about like these early albums of theirs. The Nikki Sixx wrote predominantly most of the lyrics for their stuff, and it's funny because like there's no complexity to their choruses. It's shout, shout, shout at the devil, and then it's looks to kill. It's just kind of over and over. Yeah. It's kind of there's no real complexity to it, but he did say he wanted the crowds to be able to sing it.
And that's exactly what they
do. And that's exactly what the crowds do. They sing at these concerts. I've been to several of them, and you think that you don't need complexity when you want the crowd to do stuff like this, because they get a hell of a charge out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Any song they play,
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I just saw them play at the North Dakota State Fair, and they had about I want to say, if you count the medley they did in there. It's probably 20 songs they played.
Okay.
And Vince, he's in his 60s.
Yep.
He's not as overweight as you've seen some clips and things of
Yeah,
him.
I
I
think he
think
has trimmed down a
he's
little
lost
bit.
a few pounds, but he's moving around on stage, and he doesn't have the wind anymore. He can't keep it. And you know, when I get a little overweight, just going upstairs, I lose my breath a little bit sometimes.
Right.
And so he can't keep up. He still sounds good to me, like he can still hit the notes,
Yep.
but he does a lot of this with the mic to the crowd, and these kind of songs are perfect for that. If the crowd can sing along to the chorus, he can take a little break and catch his breath, and that's what I
Right.
think he's doing a lot in the live shows.
Yep.
But good tune, title track, Shout at the Devil. Should we move on? Looks That
We should
Kill.
move on. Number 2, Looks That Kill. And this was one of their singles off the album. I don't think any of them went real big, but you know, it's still a single. They released it as one of their hits. So
Yeah.
Also very good song. It's another one of their staple songs. I think they always play this live, along with Shout at the Devil, and probably one other one that I know for sure off of this album. So it's just another killer song. It just really sounds good, and
no doubt has that same kind of sing-along chorus. This is probably one of my favorite songs on the album.
Looks to Kill.
Yep.
Then we gotta listen to a little bit of it. I think.
Okay, let's have it. Love that song. It's got such a cool riff and beat, and it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When that one kicks in, it's kind of like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Rat. Lack of communication.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 you know, when it kicks in, it makes you want to.
Yeah, it's got
bang your head.
A fast rhythm, and
yep.
Yeah, it makes you bob your head, like you said.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 is Bastard. This song it's okay. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's a pretty decent song. There's let's see. Do we count God Bless the Children of the Beast as a song?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we're moving on from Bastard already.
No, I'm just looking ahead here is what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah. I got 11 songs on the album, you know, including number 1, In the Beginning, which is 1:15. Just like God Bless the Children of the Beast, 1:31. They're not really songs.
Yeah.
They're more intros to the song.
All in all, there's basically 9 songs on the album.
Right.
For all intents and purposes. So,
and they're mostly killer.
They're mostly killer. If we take out God Bless the Children of the Beast and In the Beginning, Bastard would probably be my least favorite.
I can see that.
Yep.
I like it.
I like it, but it'd be my least favorite of them because I'm looking at the rest of them and I really like the rest of them.
Yeah.
I even like their cover song is excellent. I think that's freaking awesome.
Yep. And so just really quick, like just saw them less than 2 weeks ago for sure.
Yep.
And on this album, they played Shout at the Devil, of course, Looks That Kill. Helter Skelter was part of their little medley that they did. They didn't, and that might be it.
You gotta be shitting.
I don't know if they played Too Young to Fall in Love. Maybe they did.
I'd be interested to.
For whatever reason in my head, I get Too Young to Fall in Love sometimes confused with Too Fast for Love. And I know they played Too Fast for Love, and that's off their first album.
Yep, for sure.
Totally different songs, but very similar titles.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So, Bastard, what were your thoughts on it?
I like it. But I do kind of tend to agree with you. Out of all the songs on there, um, it's probably one of my least favorite. But that's not saying
It's not
something
good.
really bad.
No, it's not like
Yeah,
for
I'm
on
not saying it's not good.
yeah, we're not saying like it's on a 10 scale, it's a 2.
Right.
It's probably a 7, and the rest are 8s, 9s, and 10s.
Concur.
So, yep. So
Skip over
skip
God
over
Bless.
God Bless, and then we hit the cover song of the Beatles, and this song is called Helter Skelter. And to me, it is a fantastic cover. Speaking of this, when we did the cult episode, and we got some pretty funny comments on that. Like, I don't know who these people were that commented, but I think it was on TikTok, and they comment like, "Who the hell is this? Sounds terrible." And then, we played "Born to Be Wild,"
Right.
and they made a comment on that. That's the worst cover song I've ever heard, or something like
Yeah,
that. And
fair.
I'm
That's
like,
fine.
I'm laughing. I'm like, I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
No, no, and it's just funny. I'm glad they're commenting, and I'm glad they're listening.
For sure.
Because I always comment on it and said, yeah, that's a different perspective, or something. I never say anything mean, like you're a fucking idiot. Oh, you should clean out your ears or something. I could say something mean, but
Well, some people really dislike cover songs for whatever
yeah,
reason.
some people don't like them, and I freaking love them for the most part. As long as they're well done, they're good. They're great. I love them. I like Metallica. Like, they did a whole freaking album of cover songs, and I like pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some bad ones, and I
Of
can't
course.
think of a few off the top of my head. I mean, usually it's bands of this era, and I hear a cover of them, and I'm like, oh my God, they just ruined that song. But for example, and one of the guys at work had mentioned this, that you ever seen the movie, is it the 40-Year-Old Virgin? And they're playing video games, and the guy's like, you know how I know you're gay? You know what I'm talking about?
I've
Because you
seen
got
the
an
movie, but I
Asia
can.
poster back, and they just keep
Oh,
going
oh,
back and forth. And I
yeah,
think there's a whole like deleted scenes part where they just keep going. You know how I know you're gay? Whatever.
yeah.
No offense or anything, but anyway, he, if he had a, oh, he was talking about a Sheryl Crow song,
Okay,
and I'm like, you know how I know you're gay? You like Sheryl Crow, but Sheryl Crow does, just a joke, but Sheryl Crow does a cover of "Sweet Child of Mine" or something like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Guns N' Roses,
okay. I
and it's
don't know.
actually a pretty decent cover.
Yeah, I mean that's a
But
that's a
right, it's stuff like
it's
that
one of
that
those that it's kind of like an untouchable song, if you
well,
ask me. You know what I
that's
mean?
exactly the word I'm looking for. To me, they're like, whoa, that's blasphemy.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain songs that
You can't beat
you
the
can't
original.
you can't, no matter what you do.
But
And
Born to Be
that's
Wild and from Steppenwolf, I don't know if
yeah.
that's one of them that's
No, it's
untouchable.
not, for sure not.
And this is a cover of a Beatles song.
A Beatles song, who are typically one of those bands, but they have more people covering their shit, and you know what? They're good.
Right.
Like Guns N' Roses did whatever. It was not gonna have his door.
No,
That's
that's Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. God
But
dang it!
but
There's
I
something
feel
else,
like
but
they do a Beatles song maybe.
I feel
Oh,
like
oh, I know what you're thinking of. It's the Paul McCartney Wings song, "Live and Let Die."
there we go. Yeah,
And a matter of fact, when we did the Guns N' Roses "Use Your Illusion" versus
I think we both
episode,
gave it tens.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's you said that's a cover of the Beatles, and yeah, we
yeah, it
just
was.
no,
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah,
Paul
yeah,
McCartney obviously was in the Beatles.
right. But a lot of people do covers of Beatles songs, and they're typically pretty damn good.
Exactly, and
You know,
I think if we were 20 years older and we grew up listening to the Beatles, and I mean, I like the Beatles a lot, and I would go as far as to say I love the Beatles. I know you're probably not so much on that,
I just never got into them, to be honest.
but to me, this isn't one of those, oh, this is blasphemy. I think this stands up to the Beatles version
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
good. And and it's surprising if you actually listen to the Beatles. It's a rocking song even
It
when they
is.
do it.
They have some rocking
Yeah,
songs.
and see, when I was exposed to the Beatles, I was exposed to the wrong Beatles. I was exposed to the lovey-dovey shit that
I
they
Want to
did.
Hold Your Hand.
Yeah, that stuff.
There's a whole different.
Yeah,
They changed over the years. I mean, they
yeah,
weren't around, like, they weren't huge for a long time. I mean, they're huge in the historical sense,
right.
but they went from whatever late 50s, early 60s to from the I Want to Hold Your Hands to the Helter Skelters and You Say You Want a Revolution, and
Yeah, like Revolution, love that
that
song.
guitar riff, and that
Yeah,
is phenomenal. I mean,
yeah.
it's cool. It's just the whoa of that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I haven't been exposed to enough of the right stuff. The lovey-dovey stuff's okay, but it's just not my thing. So like the Helter Skelter and the Revolution and songs like that, hell yeah, I like the
Yeah.
Beatles. So I
So
like the Beatles, the rockin' Beatles.
should we listen to Helter Skelter
Yeah,
or move on to Red Hot? Maybe listen
yeah,
to something else.
yeah. Let's just hold off on Helter Skelter.
Okay. Just trust us. It's good.
It's good. It's very good. Red Hot's another. That's another one that
drums.
that's another one that just kind of kicks you in the teeth and makes no apologies about it. It's just that it's got a great drum intro. It's just good. And before this episode, we were talking about, or I had mentioned I had listened to the '94 album that didn't have Vince Neil on it, and how much I liked it, and how good Tommy's drums were on that album. And then we're talking about Red Hot, and I'm just like, oh yeah, his drums were really good on this, because like on that '94 album, like it's almost like they made an effort to include his drums more,
Yeah.
or make them more pronounced, whereas they're just kind of the backing on every other album. But yeah, anyways, but Red Hot's got a great beginning. It's a fast song. Excellent song.
Yeah, it feels like it could be on the first one a little bit. Like
Like
you mentioned that they heavy metal band by accident. They started out kind of as punk band. This is more punk kind of sounding to me.
Yeah, I would say.
And I'm
I
not
would go with
a
that.
big punk rock guy necessarily, but
Right.
But I can see where that's coming from there. Moving on to 8.
What is number 8?
Too Young to Fall in Love.
Oh, we got to play this one. This is my favorite.
Well, just play it right away.
God damn, I love
this
this song.
We'll talk about it.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome tune.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, we could listen to the whole thing.
I know.
And sometimes I do throw in the whole song, and maybe this would be one of them. But anyway,
it's such a good song.
While we were listening, I did just look it up. They did not play this one at their last.
I can't believe that. But I seen number 1, Primal Scream.
That's
fucking love that song.
Yeah,
that is such a good song that never was on an album. Wasn't that on
That was on the greatest hits. Well, it was on 2 things. It was on Decade of Decadence, which was the greatest hits compilation.
Yep.
It had a couple new songs. It had that one, And I can't remember the other one right off the top of my head. And then it was on the Supersonic and Demonic Relics.
Oh, I
Yeah, it
never
was the
even
number
seen
2.
that one.
Yeah,
They had
it's
so
a
many.
pretty good greatest hits.
They had so many greatest hits come out. It's like
Yeah,
how many
here's another
greatest?
greatest
Yeah, I
hits
know.
version.
How many can you do? That's what I was like. Really?
Yeah, well, you got to cash in,
Well, on this one, it looks like they got some unreleased tracks: "Saints
right?
and Sinners," "Monstrous." I've never heard "Say Yeah."
Yeah, Decade of Decadence was pretty much, well, that was their first greatest hits that came out shortly after Dr. Feelgood, which of course we're going to talk about. But
Right.
it had Primal Scream and gosh darn it, I can't think of the other song. But anyway, while we're talking about the next song, maybe I'll look it up.
You know, I can't believe they got "Hooligan's Holiday" on. It's like they tried to not even let people know that that album existed.
Yeah,
Like even on Apple Music, I had to search for it a different way. It didn't come up on their Motley Crue.
really
Yeah, when I just searched Motley Crue albums, I did all the albums and it didn't even show.
interesting.
But anyways, back to it. Back to it. Then we go from "Too Young to Fall in Love" to "Knock 'Em Dead Kid." This is another kick you in the teeth song. It's just another really, really solid, uh, great song. And then, yeah, what do you think of that song?
I was just gonna say, that's might be, like I said about Looks That Kill, might be my favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
Knock 'Em Dead Kid's up there too. I
Yep.
really like that song.
Yeah, I really do too. The next song I really, really like. God, this is a good one for me. Well, I mean, it is. I've listened to this hundreds of times. You know,
Yeah, certainly.
I really have. And I'm gonna kind of spill the beans here a little bit, but when I go back and if I'm feeling like Motley Crue, there's 3 albums I typically go to, and that's the first one, "Shout at the Devil," and the '94 album. Those are the 3 I typically go back to because I think they've aged the best. Um, like some of their other stuff, I mean, like there's certain songs off the other albums that aged well, but some of it didn't, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, by spilling the beans, you guys can probably figure out
Which album he's gonna pick?
Yeah, probably.
Could be. Could be. Well, real quick, Decade of Decadence had
Yeah.
like 5 new songs, if you don't count. So there was a song called Teaser. Do you remember that
Oh yeah,
song?
yep.
So
She's
that
a
was on
teaser.
that was on the Make a Difference Foundation album from when they went to Russia or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
See, that's where I was thinking of it from.
And then a song called Rock and Roll Junkie, which was on a cool movie from back in the day, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Okay.
With Dice Clay. I'm quick shout out to my cousin Robbie again. I bring him up a lot, but him and I went and saw that movie in the theater. He also kind of requested that we hurry up and do a Motley Crue episode because he's a big Crue head.
Okay.
And of course, we went to the concert together.
Yeah. I was supposed to go. My back was so bad, and if I'd have had seats, I would have went, but there is no possible way I would have made it through that concert with the way my back was. And it was like that for almost 2 weeks. It was miserable. So anyway,
then their Primal Scream, which we just kind of mentioned, was their opener song at that
Primal
show.
Scream is such a fucking good song.
A cover of Anarchy in the UK, but before that is a song called Angela. And that was, so this was your reason to go out and buy that album because there was like 5 new songs on there.
Yeah.
New songs.
I did buy that one.
Yep.
But then there was the other one you showed, that tan one.
Yeah.
That one, greatest hits. I didn't even get that one, but I got that other greatest, that almost second to the last one.
I think that one came out. This one came out right around that time that your favorite album, Generation Swine, came out.
Yeah. It was just, there was just so many greatest hits at the same time.
Yeah,
And
there's another one called Red, White, and Crew or
yep,
something.
yep,
That's like a two
two
disc
disc
set.
one.
That had
You
a
know,
couple new songs on it too. But
yeah, I mean, but it was getting to the point where I'm like, really, come on.
yeah, quit milking it, boys.
Yeah, I mean, talk about milking it. They're getting right up there in Kiss category for the amount of.
And then they, to top it off, they were with
Elektra.
Elektra and Motley Records.
Yep.
So they put out everything again, when they,
yep,
which is fine.
They started their own record company. Yeah, shit. Yeah, that's cool.
But, so Knock 'em Dead, Kid. 10 Seconds to Love.
10 Seconds to Love. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
That is one of my favorite riffs and songs, and I play that one on guitar, and it's pretty fun to play. Yeah, and the funny thing about Crue is most people don't know this probably. What you do if you play, but they're tuned way the fuck down.
Yeah.
It's lower than drop. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but drop D. A lot of the newer bands kind of do this drop D tuning. It's basically where you drop the top string down a step, and you can just play the top two strings together without using your pushing down on a fret, and it's really cool. It's kind of heavy, like Nickelback and bands like that use a lot of that. But Motley Crue's turned down to C, I think, or C sharp, one of the two, which
Musical
is even
knowledge.
which is even lower, and it's crazy. Like you get down and go, holy shit, this is really low. But they've been tuned like that since the beginning, which
Cool.
is kind of crazy.
Yeah. 10 Seconds to Love again with Looks That Kill, Knock 'em Dead Kid. This is another one of my favorites too.
Yep. Yep.
And another sing along chorus,
Right.
shouting chorus. Great. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
They're all like that. And then what is it? Finish it
Yeah.
out.
Finish off this album with Danger.
Danger, which was on just a previous episode of unknown or ballads
That
weren't hits or could have been and should have been hits.
Yeah.
That was one of my picks is Danger because for years I kind of skipped over the song because it was a slow song, and I didn't want a slow song. But within the last 10 years, I was like, listen, going, that Danger song's really good. And I just started listening to it, and now I really, really dig it. Really, really good song.
Yeah, and I never really thought of it as a ballad, but it is.
Yeah,
it has to be classified as a ballad.
It is, Motley Crue, the only other ballad you can think of, at this time there was none. The first two albums, really. And then
on the first album, you could call, no, you couldn't really call On With the Show a ballad, although it has some elements of it in the bridge or whatever you call it.
Yeah. So this is kind of their first actual ballad.
They kind of wrote the book on the ballad with Home Sweet Home.
Yeah, that's kind of the one that really, really broke it. And then now after that, every band had ballads. Power ballad. Yep. And so, but anyways, Danger, just a really solid rock song. It's a ballad-ish song, and it really good lyrics to it, I think. So check it out.
Cool. Let's wrap that one up and pick our 3 favorite songs then.
Yep.
If you can do that.
I can.
If you need to look at that.
I gotta look just to be sure because there's so many on here that I like.
Well, you look and I'll just pick mine really quick.
Okay.
So, Shout at the Devil.
Yep.
It's hard to pick just 3, but Shout at the Devil, 10 Seconds to Love, and Looks That Kill. Those are my 3.
Okay.
Hard. Because there's other ones I want to pick, but
mine are
Catch Me on a Different Day. It might be 3 different ones. At least 2 different ones.
Too Young to Fall in Love, Knock 'em Dead Kid, and 10 Seconds to Love.
Love it.
Yep. That's my 3. 3 right in a row, too.
Awesome album. If you don't have
awesome. If
you don't have it, you're not watching this show.
This is one of those albums that it has got to be in your
library.
It is that good.
So
moving on
to 1989.
We jumped
August.
all the way from 83 to 89. And, like Chris said at the beginning, I kind of thought, we'd do the first 2 albums would be a better, but this is kind of cool because it's a completely different album. They're sober for the first time.
Yep.
The sound is completely different. It's produced by Bob Rock, who, is a hit maker. And Dr. Feelgood's just a totally different, when this came out, they released Dr. Feelgood as a single first. And I remember hearing it on the radio. And it was me and my good friend Jamie. And hearing this for the very first time, we were like, holy shit. It was just bombastic. It was just huge sounding.
Yeah, I remember seeing the video on MTV, I think before the album came out too.
and it was a total different sound. And we're coming off of what came out before this. We came off Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yep.
Um, but it was just a bigger sounding album just off of that song
Right.
because it's just a huge sounding song, that song. Um, so I was like, oh man, this is going to be good. And it's a very good album.
Yeah, I don't think I was let down by this album at all.
No, Theater
Um,
of Pain was my letdown album. You know, when you go from Shout at the Devil to Theater of Pain, that one was pretty glitzy, glammy, kind of whippy. Not crazy about that album, but
yeah,
it has some good songs on
there's
it. Don't
some
get me wrong.
goodies on there, I
There's
think.
probably 4 or 5 that I really kind of dig, and then the rest is kind of just fluff.
Yeah, and I I could hear Crue fans saying the same thing to some extent about Dr. Feelgood.
I kind of feel that way,
But
honestly.
August 28th, I think you said this came out.
Yep.
So I remember going into Budget Music and Video and picking this up. I had just started college. Pretty much started and finished college the same day I walked into the dorm because I really didn't care about college, but I went because that's what you did.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's
the
what I
same
was
story with
felt
me.
like I
Yep.
was told to do.
Yep.
Uh, but I had probably just had cashed my Pell Grant check or had some extra money from after I bought my books for school. And I went to Budget Music Video and I picked this up along with a few other albums that day.
Yep.
And I could not wait to get it. I had just probably purchased my very first compact disc player. You know, up until this point,
Cassettes.
everything was on cassette. And I couldn't wait to throw this CD in my, I'm trying to even think of the brand, Sound Design or something like cheap.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure I bought this on cassette still.
Yeah, I think I bought this on CD.
I was a late bloomer when it came to CD because for some reason my friend Jay Johnson had these little compact disc players that we'd bring along in the car, and we
And they'd
and it
skip.
and they'd skip, and it was annoying as shit. And I didn't think you got as much bass out of them. So I thought this cassette sounded better. You when you threw in the cassette and then you threw in the CD of the same thing. Yes, the CD was clearer, but you get more bass out of the cassette.
Yeah, and it's
And
funny that you say that about the car. So I had a CD player in my little, probably bought it at Sears rack, whatever you want to call it, receiver, CD player, cassette, dual cassette deck, of course, so you could dub stuff. But I'm sure I copied this onto a cassette for the car because I didn't have a CD player in the car. So I had to buy the CD, then I had to get a blank cassette and have 2 copies of this album. One that I could listen to in the car and one I could listen to in the dorm room or wherever.
that's cool.
But yeah, so I definitely remember picking this album up when it came out.
You
And
know,
yeah, Dr. Feelgood. TNT, the opening song is just kind of an intro.
yeah. Yeah, this is the shit like when you were just talking about how you didn't have a CD player in the car, so you would take the CD and you'd burn or copy it onto a tape so you could listen to it in the car. This is why I love talking about this shit because people don't understand everything's so goddamn easy accessible now. You can
Yeah.
just bring your phone. You got every possible song you could possibly want on your phone. You plug it into any car almost nowadays, and it'll come on. We worked for this
Yeah.
shit.
And it actually sounds pretty good. You know, there's going
It
to be
does.
people who say, well, vinyl sounds better than anything. Cassettes are better than CDs. I mean, how many times did I have to go get a pencil and fix a god dang cassette because the tape player ate it? And there's always that one spot in the song where it
Yep,
sounded
it sounded
muffled
like
or
shit.
goofy.
Yeah,
And that's, well, I guess I got to listen to it that way. I'll
yeah,
remember what it sounded like in my head.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just fun to talk about this because you remember all that stuff and the struggles of. I was so damn excited. My first, I bought a Kenwood cassette player, and it had a thing called Tape Advance,
Yeah.
and you'd hit fast forward, and it would find that gap between the next song, and it would stop. It didn't always
Yeah.
work, it had to be a fairly good gap between the next song, and it would stop and play the next song. I was so goddamn excited. I was like, oh my God, you got to check this out, guys. Look at this.
Yeah.
Click.
That's
And
for
play the
those
song. Yeah.
albums that weren't all killer, no filler. If you
Yeah.
want to skip a song. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, back to the album.
Dr. Feelgood, good tune. Opening track, basically,
Yeah.
and lead off single, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes, it had to be. Yeah, it was the first song I heard, and I know it was on the radio right away.
I don't think we need to listen to it.
No, I think everybody pretty much knows that one.
On this album, I'm more interested in listening to some of the deeper tracks, honestly.
Yeah.
Slice of Your Pie, I would consider one of the deeper tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like it.
It's good. I just recently listened to this because we were doing this, and yeah, it's on this album. I will say, to me, and I know Chris, you may differ. There's more filler on this one. Like I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around to your way of thinking a little bit.
But it's got a couple really, really, like, the ones that just jump to me that are fucking fantastic are Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart, Same Old Situation. Those three are just boom. And that's my favorite three. But the ballad Without You, it just annoys the everlin piss out of me because the way he says you, it sounds like chew. Without you in my life.
What would you'd be without chew? You'd be trouble.
I would be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just kind of getting ahead of the game here, but I'm just saying that to me, and I like Rattlesnake Shake. I kind of like that song. It's kind of got a funky deal to it, but
yeah.
But we can keep going. I just wanted to give my opinion on this album, and it was huge. It's got to be their biggest album ever, right?
Yeah, you said it was the only one that reached number one.
Only one that reached number one on Tommy Lee's birthday. But I mean, as far as album sales, this has got to be the number one, right?
Well, let's listen to just a quick snippet of Slice of Your Pie, because it's kind of an interesting song to me. It might not, it's definitely not going to make my top 3 favorite songs on the album, but I just kind of want to listen to it.
Yeah.
When we do, look up album sales while I'm listening to this song, or while we're listening. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. Slice of Your Pie.
Yeah.
So Slice Your Pie, kind of a cool tune. Chad just looked up album sales.
Yes, I did. And Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood was the number one
by a couple million
over Shout at the Devil. 6.6 million versus 4.3 million.
Yeah, so we did pick the 2 top selling albums, which I kind of figured.
Yeah, I kind of figured too. I didn't realize that one was as close. But Theater of Pain's number 3. And so
that's shocking to me.
It is really shocking to me too. So 4.3 even, and Shout the Devil beat it by 35,000 copies, which is totally surprising.
I mean, maybe the source isn't the greatest either, but just Googling Motley Crue's top selling albums list.
This is according to bestsellingalbums.org.
Sounds like a reputable source to me.
Sounds like a reputable source, but get this: we couldn't believe this. The Motley Crue album from 2008, Saints of Los Angeles, sold a Padre 40,000 copies. 40,000. That's nothing burger.
Paltry.
Poultry.
Yeah. Padre's the guy that.
Padre. Poultry. That's the word I was looking for.
But yeah, 40,000. That's
40,000. That is insane.
I bought one. Me and 39,000 other guys, I guess, did.
But I mean, to put it in perspective, there's a greatest hits album at number 11, sold 500,000. The next one, Saints of Los Angeles, 40,000.
Yeah.
And they have another album called New Tattoo, and that's not even on there. So that's got to be even worse. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy to me.
Yeah,
but
I can see why they didn't retire from touring, because they.
Yeah, that's where they make their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rattlesnake Shake, number 4.
That one I do like.
Yep.
Yep. It's good song.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think I said this before on the Skid Row episode, that I do like the Skid Row song called Rattlesnake Shake better.
I do too.
Than this song called Rattlesnake Shake. But
right.
Now we're getting into the big hitters. Number 5, Kickstart My Heart.
Kickstart My Heart, all about Nikki Sixx when he died,
Yeah.
officially died. And they kick-started his heart.
Yep.
And got him going again. And and we should say on Dr. Feelgood, they did go completely sober for this album. So it's the first album they've done completely sober. And that was the whole band did that. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't know that they stayed that way for very long.
No, I don't think it lasted real long. But through the recording is all I know.
Yeah.
They probably started
right after.
When they started
Wrapping
touring.
Party.
Yeah, when they started touring, I bet you that went out the window.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's cool. I mean, they recorded this one completely sober, so and it it's Bob Rock. It sounds good. Yeah, and that's the other thing you'll notice. When you from 83 to 89, the quality, the sound is so much more polished, so much cleaner and nicer, and kind of like when we were talking about Def Leppard, going from
Right.
Pyromania to Hysteria, and how much better and almost overly pretty sounding.
Even though we both picked Pyromania to be, I think, in that versus. We did Pyromania versus Hysteria.
I picked Pyromania, I know.
I think I did too.
Yeah. But regardless, I mean, I'm just kind of pointing that, within that 6-year span, how much cleaner and nicer things sounded. So the engineering or whatever you want to call it got a lot better.
Technology was
Technology
better.
got better. Yep. So
two things to say about Kickstart My Heart. One, it's a huge hit on this album and maybe their biggest. Not sure about that. Doesn't matter. I like the song. I think it's overplayed.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those to me that just got overplayed. But it is a cool song and it kills in concert. Without You, moving on.
Without You, I already kind of made my comment on it. It gets on my goddamn nerves. Here's the thing. When you mentioned overplayed, this album was overplayed big time. It was huge.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
6.6 million copies it sold.
It was big, and it was on the radio a lot. And Without You was on there a lot. That's why it's kind of on my nerves. I could do without that, but yeah, I don't know. And then there's, like the rockers, like Dr. Feelgood. But the rockers, I didn't get sick of. But this one I got sick of, and then there's another one that I kind of got sick of, and that was Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away.
Oh, boy.
I just got kind of sick of it. It's a good song. It's a real good song, but it got overplayed.
I like that we're going to disagree a little bit because I love that song.
Oh, I like it. I do.
Yeah.
But I just heard it so many goddamn times.
Yeah.
And saw the video so many times, and oh my God. I did, on this album, this is my favorite haircut of theirs, where they shaved the sides and left the top long. Yeah. Fuck, I love that haircut. Yeah. I thought that was cool as shit. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so Without You, I agree. It's not, and even the ballad at the end, which I guess we'll get to.
Yeah.
Don't really care for the ballads on this album. And
no,
everybody had to have one. This was 89.
Matter of fact, the last one I like better than Without You.
Me too, by far.
Yeah.
So moving on then to the next song. This is one of my top 3 for sure. I'll just say it.
Same Old Situation. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'll have to play a little bit of it.
Now I used to call a city, she changed
Yeah, it's a freaking fantastic song. Same Old Situation. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's going to be 3 rockers for me on this one that are going to be my favorites.
Yeah, the lyrical content in Same Old Situation is funny.
Yep,
I dig it.
yep,
It
it's good.
cracks me up, and I love the melody. So
Yeah, it's yeah, easily top 3 on that album.
next one, Sticky Sweet.
You're gonna have to play it for me. I can't think of it in my head.
I dig this song a lot too. Let's have a quick listen to it.
Yeah, please.
It's got a good groove to that
Yeah, it
song.
does have a good groove. It's
And
it's good.
again, the
Yep.
lyrics are kind of funny. I just kind of want to. Now, when I've done good, she slaps me on the ass. That's my favorite lyric on the song for whatever reason. I just think it takes more than 10 seconds to satisfy this lass. Good stuff.
There you go.
Quality.
So more than 10 seconds to love.
Yeah, so exactly. It's kind of a little throwback to the
There you
10
go.
seconds to love on
Shout
Shout
the
at the
devil.
Devil. Yeah,
There you go.
killer.
That is funny.
I dig that song. I think it's fun. It's got a good groove. I already said that.
Oh, and the other thing I was going to bring up on I saw him on this tour in Winnipeg with my future wife.
Oh, killer.
Yeah, and then we saw him. I think we figured it out. It was 20 years later. They played
At the State Fair.
State Fair,
20th anniversary, and they played
and
this
we were
album
actually
from
married. Yep,
start to finish.
yep. They played that album start to finish.
Who
So,
opened for him in Winnipeg? Do you remember?
oh God,
89, it had to be Cool. Or 90, maybe it was. During the tour, I suppose.
I want to say it was Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla's awesome.
Yeah.
Is this the one where your wife said she didn't want to go to Tesla again because
No, that was when they were going to be at Prairie Nights down by Bismarck.
and
We
they
drove all
canceled?
the way down there.
Yeah,
Got
okay.
there, and he decided he had a sore throat and couldn't sing. So she's all pissed off about that still.
Understand.
Yeah.
So moving on to
Moving
She
on.
Goes Down. Speaking of funny lyrics, funny. I love the way it starts off with the zipper at the beginning of
Yep.
the song. Just 2 seconds to play it. Love the sexy laugh or whatever you
Yeah,
want to call
yeah.
it. And there we go. She Goes Down. Good song.
Good song.
Okay. Now, number 10, Don't Go Away Mad.
Great
Just Go
song.
Away.
Great song. I don't listen to it anymore just because I've heard it so many times.
I wonder if, so this was one of the later singles off this album, I'm pretty sure. I
Mhm.
wonder if I didn't get the overplayed thing because I think this came out maybe when I was in boot camp in the Navy. I will bet you just about all the money I have in my wallet right now, which I don't have my wallet on me, so I can say that safely, that it came out between October of 90 and December of 90.
Probably.
I'm going to look it up, throw it on here. But
Okay.
that's to me why it maybe didn't get overplayed, because I didn't get to listen to it while I was
You know,
at
and
boot
yeah,
camp.
it was probably another thing I could say is it's probably one of their later singles, and I'd already heard it 100 times. You know, just
having
me
the album.
from having the album, and then all of a sudden, hey, now this is a hit. Oh, great! So, yeah, that could be part of it. Also,
So Don't Go Away Mad,
just go away.
the song could
I-
just go away for you. Not that bad.
No, it's. it's not like I said earlier. When I go back to listen to Motley Crue, I listen to the first two and the '94 album. I just overplayed like some of the albums, like Girls, 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 and I just think there's more filler on those albums than there are killer songs.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was wrong. Came out May 28th of 1990, but probably got popular in the fall of that year.
Maybe,
Guessing,
yeah.
maybe.
So yeah, I mean, well, anything they did back then, they were the biggest band around in '89.
Yeah,
I mean, they were.
no doubt. Um, Final song on the album, "It's Time for Change."
Time
Ballad
for
you like
change.
better than "Without You,"
Yeah,
and
I
I
mean, it's
agree.
another ballad, and probably nobody's really heard it, but it's actually to me better than "Without You," which was their one of their big hits off this.
Yeah, I agree. It's a better ballad than the other one,
Yeah, I mean,
but neither one are going to make our top 10 ballads show.
nah, not a chance in
No.
hell. It wouldn't make my top 50.
And it's so funny because this album sold really well. And back then, you almost had to have a ballad, the big selling ballad, too.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think they did really well with that ballad.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it did really well.
"Without You"?
Yeah,
Boy, I don't remember it being a hit much, but I could be way wrong.
yeah, I think it was pretty good hit
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
I never did care for it, even from
I
the first time I heard the
yeah
album.
yeah me either. I mean, it was okay to me, but like I said, that just irks me that the way he says that. It sounds like
"Without
he's
You"?
saying "chew" instead of "you," and
Yeah,
it drives me insane.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So
So,
that
favorite
wraps up,
three?
yeah, top three.
You go first.
Okay, my favorite three, for sure, "Same Old Situation," "Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away." And then it gets a little dicier with picking that third one. "She Goes Down."
Okay.
So I picked "Same Old Situation," "Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away," and "She Goes Down."
I'm gonna be more hit oriented, I guess. I'm gonna do Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart, and Same Old Situation.
And that's fair. Those
Yeah.
are the hits.
Well, I just
Well,
Dr.
three of the
Feelgood's
hits.
a real good rocker. It's got just heavy.
Yep.
Kickstart My Heart just has that cool guitar in it, and Same Old Situation is just plain out fucking good song, and that's why I picked it.
So this is going to be an easy one, it seems like, for a
For
winner.
for for me, it's shout at the devil all day, every day, even twice on Tuesdays, and it's partly because it's the first album I heard from them, and to me, Motley Crue after this album it seemed like they got a little lighter. Well, especially Theater of Pain, little. This was more cutting edge to me. Like the punk, heavy metal. Like he said, he went heavy metal, and I love this album, and I love every song on it. Other than the
Intros or
intros
whatever.
and the God Bless the Children of the Beast. I like every one of them is a 9 or a 10 for me.
It's very, very, very hard to argue with your logic. This was the album too that got you into this kind of music.
Absolutely. Yep.
I
So that
love this album too. I'm going to be stupid and I'm going to pick Dr. Feelgood between the two.
yeah,
And
that's
maybe
fine.
just to have a difference, just to have a split decision here.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you
here's
know,
my logic
yeah,
behind it.
go ahead.
This, like I said, it has 9 songs with the two.
Right.
And they're all good. They're all really good. When you go to Dr. Feelgood, it's a whole different sound. And probably I do like the softer side, I guess, maybe of
Yeah.
hair metal in some ways. Like I'm a big ballad guy. And the funny thing is I don't like the two ballads on here. But if you go, Dr. Feelgood was a big hit. Kickstart My Heart was a big hit. Apparently Without You was even a hit. Might
Yeah.
have been an MTV hit or a single that I don't know where it finished in the top 40, but you think it made the top 40. So we're up to 3. And maybe you don't know. I mean, you probably look while I'm talking. Same Old Situation hit. I like the Sticky Sweet song. I like She Goes Down. I picked that as one of my favorites. Don't Go Away Mad was a hit. I got 7 pretty good songs on this album. And not to say that the 9 on here aren't all good. And there is some filler on this. Somewhat. So, good pick. I'm just going to pick Dr. Feelgood just because. And maybe part of that too is just it came out in 89, like right as I'm going into college, right as I graduated, right after I graduated high school. Fun time in my life. So that's my logic behind picking Dr. Feelgood. But I love them both.
Got up to number 8.
Really? That's surprising to me.
Billboard Hot 100. Mainstream rock got to 11.
And actually, if I was to pick my favorite Motley Crue album overall, it might be this one. It might be the debut.
You know, it's really hard. I mean, like I said, the first 2 and the 94 album are where it's at for me. That's kind of where and a lot of people, a lot of the purists or whatever, the ones that claim to be true Motley Crue fans, man, I'm fucking Motley Crue. I would lived and died Motley Crue for years.
You got the tattoo for crying out loud.
I got the tattoo. I got an argument with a guy.
You got another Motley Crue tattoo, maybe too, or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. But I got an argument with a guy at a party in Fargo. It was at this. There was this party spot. It was either Wednesday nights or Thursday night. Every night, and they had Schlitz malt liquor bull on tap. And
Don't say beer, say bull.
Yep, and they had that fucking blue bull painted on the wall of this house in the basement. I mean, they were full on, but I got an argument with this guy about the first single, and he said it was so and so, and I said no, it was actually Stick to Your Guns. I said, which wasn't released on an album. It was one of their demos.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe me, and we just about went to fucking fisticuffs. And next time I seen him at that, because that party was every week, I seen him at the party again. He goes, "Hey man, I gotta apologize to you. You were right. I looked it up." I was like, "I know. Shut up, dick."
Yeah, cool demo though. That and the Toast to the Town.
Yep.
is a cool song that Pretty Boy Floyd had on their album, which I love the cover. That cover. Speaking of covers, we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Toast to the Town. Yep, that's a good cover. Anyways, that is our episode of Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil versus Dr. Feelgood. Both excellent albums. They both should be in your music library. If they're not, make sure that happens. I just want to thank all of you guys for listening and keeping us doing this stuff. We enjoy it. It's fun. We get off topic a lot and kind of go on tangents, but that's kind of what we do. And, it keeps it fresh, I guess. We a lot of times going into these episodes, I'll do quite a bit of research, but these 4 albums that we did today, we knew a lot. We've listened to them hundreds of times, so we didn't have to do as much research. So it was kind of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of episode. And we did another episode tonight. We don't know which one's going to come out first, either the Motley Crue or the AC/DC, but regardless, we had fun.
Right.
And that's why we do this. It's a blast. Like I said earlier in the episode, Chris was talking about something, and I'm like, that's why we do this, because it shows how much work went into us liking our music and what we did to have the music with us at all times.
Get it,
just to get it, obtain it, and listen to it. There's a lot of work that went into it, and then you would always make a copy for your friend if they didn't have it, and they had something, they'd make a copy for you, and it's totally fucking illegal, but who cares? You're young, and that's what you did. And anyways, that's my story. Again, we do have a merch store out there. The link is in the comments. You can get mugs, you can get shirts, you can get hats. He's got a hat on. Um, you could get all kinds of shit, bumper stickers and all kinds of shit. But I'm not trying to make a bunch of money. But I just thought if you like the show and you want to kind of show people that you like the show, hey, go out there and grab a piece of merch.
It's cool to see people wearing our shirts in the wild, as I say.
Yeah.
Like,
Out in the wild, it's pretty freaking cool. It kind
yeah,
of makes you go, hey, we touched somebody with something we did.
we got a
So
few top fans that
we
bought some merch.
and we called them out before, but I can call them out again. You know, Robbie and his wife, Kirsten.
Yep.
I don't want to say that wrong because I always stutter when I say it. So
Right.
then you always get me going right. So, Chris, he's a big fan. God, I'm missing. Oh,
Greg.
Phil. Who'd you say?
Craig Hester sported our shirt as he's
Yep.
a singer for a local band.
Yep, Craig.
Killing Smalls.
And so we got some good fans out there, and you know, a lot of people comment, and we enjoy that. I enjoy seeing that you guys are interacting, and I had a good comment from Mr. Chris, so I started doing this radio thing where I was going to do a radio show
on Stationhead,
and I'm going to do it at some time. I'm just trying to figure out when I want to do it, and start back in. I did one episode and I was just like, my back was killing me and I didn't feel like doing it because like I would get these spasms, and it's weird because when I have these spasms, I typically yell something out, and a lot of time it's the F-bomb because they just come out of nowhere, just boom, and all of a sudden it's just your pain goes to 10 in just a quick second, and I yell out fuck a lot. So I didn't want to be on the air and do that. Anyway, so I will get back to that. But anyways, Chris made a comment and says, "Nah, man, just stick to the podcast. That's something I look forward to every week." So I appreciate that, Chris.
That's good. It's good to hear somebody looks forward to it every week.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love that people actually look forward to seeing us do this, and we really enjoy it. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It really does mean something. We do really appreciate it.
You're watching us for the first time. It doesn't take a second to like, subscribe. It just helps us out.
It does. It really does. And, you know, I mean,
this makes us feel good, if anything.
Exactly.
We're not making money. We're not
making money or anything like that.
That's why we can play some clips of this music, because we're not monetizing this.
And we got to mention, if you are listening on, say, a podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anything like that, you're not getting the full Monty, shall we say, because we do play some of the music, and so you can hear some of the songs that we play, especially like when we're doing our episodes about, you know, unheard or not big hits or deep cuts or anything like that, and you want to hear the song that we're actually talking about, you should watch this on YouTube, because that's where we're allowed to play it. Unless you're living in Russia, you're still not getting it in Russia.
Sorry,
Russia. Anyhow, so yeah, if you're listening on a different platform, check out the podcast on YouTube, and then you get the full Monty, like I said. Anyways, that is all I got for tonight. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz.
Split decision, Dr. Feelgood versus Shout at the Devil. I love them both.
I do too.
All that Chad said, and thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed our content. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. We'd greatly appreciate it. Links to everything we discussed will be included in episode notes. Feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, stay golden, Pony Boy, and rock on.